What's up, friend? Today I present to you what I consider my white whale. I have never thought this day would come, as only 4 people ever heard Lemon's voice before, so I just expected to get rejected. But I had the pleasure to speak to and interview the man. It's hard to describe Lemon in a couple of words, but if you play BDO from 2016 to 2018, there is a big chance you've heard his name or at least some of his stories. He is a bit of a myth in the European community. I would say he's extremely polarizing. You either love him or hate him, both for very good reasons. I did this interview mostly for myself, as I was always very fascinated by him and his character, and it was a pleasure to pick his mind and to get to know him a little bit better. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of them. Anyway, his microphone was a little bit scuffed, but I couldn't let this opportunity slip, so I hope this is still worth a listen for you. Here's Lemon. Can you introduce yourself for all the people that might not know you?
I used to be Lemon in Black Desert Online. That's all the introduction you need.
Okay. And I guess you were... so when were you active in BDO?
Well, from before the game released, and then for like, I don't know, 2 years or a bit more after release.
Okay. How did you learn about the game? How did you get into it?
Well, I had a friend who was, we were like bored. We quit our old MMO, which was Tera. Then we were playing Guild Wars 2 in between, which we have already played way before Tera. And we were bored, so we heard about this new game coming out from Korea, Black Desert Online, and he got us Korean accounts to try it. So we went to try it, and we saw it in Korea for the first time, and it was like at the beginning, everyone who sees BDO is like amazed how good it looks, because back then there was nothing like it, and back then people didn't know how shitty the game actually is from the inside. So we were swept off of our feet basically and in love, and I was like, nice, I want to play this. And that was like 7-8 months before European release. So I was like, I need to find a job and get a better PC so I can play this game properly. That's how I found out about video, and that's how
Okay.
I got a job too.
Okay, so you got a job because of BDO.
Yes, my motivation was Tamer's flats, her shoes basically. I was like, look at her shoes, I want this.
Okay.
Because if you see all the other models, they all have heels, and it was like that in every game before, and I hated it. But when I saw Tamer having flats, I was like, nice, finally, good fucking shoes. Wait, can I cuss?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, fine.
Okay, interesting. So you got a job because of Tamer shoes. That is,
Yes, exactly.
that's amazing. Okay. You play mostly RBF as your main content, right? As your main form of PvP. Can you talk about like what you like to do in the game, and like you also are very geared, so you must have grinded a lot.
No way, I wasn't very geared, but fine, let me clear the confusion. Well, I didn't start off with my mind being in RBF. I was just when it came out, I tried it and it was a bit fun. Then I tried it a bit more and it grew. And over time, I just started enjoying it more and more, and it felt like fair PvP, because if you go and fight outside, not everyone is outside in the world for PvP. People are out there to grind and stuff. Half of them even watch shows while grinding. No one is really ready for PvP, but in RBF you go with the intention to do PvP, so it felt like the most fair form of PvP at the time. And it was also high octane, adrenaline and stuff.
Okay. And so you said you weren't very geared. You were decently geared, I feel like, for the time.
Well, I did grind a lot, like when I quit, which was what, over 2 years now, I had almost 3k skill points, and without any boost, I did grind a lot. I grinded probably over 10 hours a day for years. But I had the shittiest luck ever. My RNG was so bad. I still had better gear than most people, but not not in the top. top 50 maybe of the server, and I was grinding maybe more than anyone in the game because I was doing it since release. Every single day I was just doing way too much grinding, and it didn't pay off. The no one. If you talk about BDO, people don't really complain about RNG enough, but they should.
It's gotten better. I feel like since you quit the game, because you can progress through buying items from the marketplace straight away.
Yes, everyone says it's gotten better, but
It's
I
still
don't trust
pretty.
BDO anymore.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So, all right. Where were you finding the motivation to grind so much?
Well, I'm very fiery person. I have way too much passion when I get into stuff, and I'm very competitive. But like in a weird way, I don't do it with the intention to be competitive. It just happens. I just want to do it. I don't really think about it. I just focus on something and do it. So yes, I wanted. For example, when I wanted Pen Kazarka, I grinded I failed like 20 times for that. My friend got it in 500 millions. It took me over 4.5 billion to get it, and that was back in thousand times when getting money was hard. It took me 1 month of grinding just to catch up to him because he got it on the second try and I got it on like the 20th try. I didn't want to be a scrub, I guess. I wanted to get it no matter what. I just didn't think about.
Hmm.
I mean, I did want to give up a lot from all the failed attempts, but it was just a fleeting thought. In general, my eyes were always on the price.
Okay. And yeah, so I guess what I'm getting from this is that you're well very competitive, but also you were competing with your friends. I'm assuming this friend was from your guild, right, Jghphhhf? Am I pronouncing
Yes.
it correctly?
Well, no, but no one can pronounce that, so
Okay.
don't make me pronounce
What's the right pronunciation?
it. I can't.
You can.
Jigglebug.
Okay, Jghphhhf. I think you founded Jghphhhf in Lineage too, correct?
Yes, and the current version of Jigglypuff in BDO is not with my blessing. It's a bunch of
Okay.
thieves and imposters, and
Okay.
they don't want to change the name.
All right. I guess
Well,
we'll get to that in a second.
yes, I founded the guild like, what, maybe 15 years ago now, or maybe even more, in Lineage 2. It has a big story even, how the guild was made.
Okay. What's the backstory?
Well, back then I was young and I was innocent, so I had no idea how the world works. I was in a big guild, and my own guild was like, I don't know how much you know about Lineage 2, but there were heroes. Only one person from each class could be a hero per month. And it was mostly politics. It wasn't like who's the best. It was the biggest guilds. They gave points to the people they wanted to be heroes. And in my case, I was in a big guild, but they wanted me to lose to another guy so he can get hero because he was an officer in the guild and I was a random pleb. But I was like way too. I said I don't give a fuck. Better player wins, end of the story. And once I got into the arena, no one in the guild could interfere anymore, so it was a pure 1v1 and I won. And the leaders were furious with me and they kicked me from the guild because I took the hero for the class I was playing. And I was like, why do I need big guilds? I'm just gonna make my own and I will send war to everyone in the server. It will be one against the world. That was my intention. So I closed my eyes, hit my keyboard, and I got the name. And that's how it was made, with the
Okay.
intention of revenge and to kill everyone, of course.
That is quite a backstory.
Yes, well, at the beginning, one person from the guild I was in thought my idea is cool and that they treated me unfairly, so he helped me, he joined the guild too. So I wasn't alone, we were two. And when people saw us, they thought we were cool. We were like two people just harassing big guilds all the time from everywhere. So we had applications from other edgy people who wanted to do the same stuff as us, and the guild got a bit bigger after that. But our goal was just to harass the big guilds. All the strong factor guilds, we would just go and ruin their plans.
Interesting. We'll get to Lineage too maybe a bit later, but let's hop back to BDO. So you created Jghphhhf in BDO too. How did you handle being a guild leader?
It was the same as in all the previous games. We just played to have fun. There was no elitism. Well, how did I lead? That's a controversial question. If you ask some of the guild members, if they are honest, they will tell you I did good. If they are salty, they will tell you I was a tyrant. It's a very controversial topic, but I didn't want any elitism in my guild. I wanted my guild to have nice atmosphere which everyone enjoys, and I think we achieved that because usually people who could stay in the guild for more than a few weeks would end up calling it home for a long time. And we kept in touch with a lot of people over the years who quit games we played, but they liked the guild so much so they stayed around. The, but this atmosphere didn't come out of nowhere. I had to build it, and I suppose I had a strong core. Me and the other main people of the guild we were very tight together, and we did all sorts of. We will do good cop, bad cop, neutral cop, all the cops basically, with members who are getting out of line. If someone was doing something stupid, I would flame him. One other guy would talk to him nicely, and one other guy would talk to him normally. And over time, we would just achieve an equilibrium, sort of.
Okay.
I don't know. We didn't really have a purpose. We just wanted to have a nice place where it feels like a family almost. It wasn't really a guild. It was like you weren't expected to do stuff, but I sort of wanted you to want to do stuff. So if someone needed help, no one expected you to help him, but the idea was that you would want to help him without anyone asking you. And we strived for atmosphere like that.
Okay. Is this community still going?
Well, we did split. We had like a falling out, but I think they are still together. Just I think they lost their soul. It was me, obviously.
Hmm.
I'm not even sure why they still use my name.
Oh yeah, tell me about the current Jghphhhf in BDO. Are they
I
not
have
connected?
no idea. I don't keep in touch with them. It's as far as I know, it's a bunch of old members who are still playing the game and are just using the guild for the stats, nothing else.
At one point, you left Jghphhhf and you joined Resilience, and at the time it was kind of a weird move. I think not many people expected it. What was the reasoning for joining Resilience?
Well, Ots is very good at negotiating. That's how I'm saying. But when we joined Resilience, it wasn't really for the Node Wars because no one likes Node Wars. Let's just be honest about that. It's just about who, or at least back then, it was about who works less and not who is better. But at the beginning, Resilience was a bunch of different squads from different places, and my squad was one of those squads. So it wasn't unnatural. It was just a bunch of squads together, making a guild sort of, because Ots was good at talking to people.
Okay.
But no, I didn't really have anything in mind with that. I just wanted to. It was like a change, but it wasn't permanent, as we may remember.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about, I guess, some of the reputation that you had from people. A lot of people would accuse you of the nastiest things. People would accuse you of using macros, of using softwares to be more desyncy. What do you think about these accusations that were going
I
on at the
think
time?
I think that's a joke. I'm from a poor country and I'm not very rich myself. What macros and software? I can't afford shit. My mouse costed $4 and my keyboard costed $10, and my hands were free, obviously, but were in past time because BDO gave me, well, I wouldn't say carpal tunnel, but something like it in both hands. Tamer gave me in the right and Uno gave me in the left hand, something like a carpal tunnel. I still sleep with braces at night. Even if I quit the game 2 years ago, if I don't sleep with hand braces, my hands will hurt the next day. So no, I didn't use any macros or anything like that. It was just I played a lot of games and a lot of MMOs. BDO was just one stop for me, and it wasn't. I don't know. I would say it wasn't even my peak. So It was just normal for me. I don't know where people got all that shit from,
Okay.
but it's normal, I guess.
Would you say it's fair that people painted you as a villain?
Well, people didn't like me because of my personality. It's very, as I said earlier, fiery. Either they love me or they hate me. But I don't really care how people painted me. It was just a game. Who cares? People who take games too seriously are stupid.
Okay. Actually, interesting what you said. Right? It's just a game. Did you think you were playing somewhat of a character in game, or you were just being yourself and didn't think much about it?
Well, best stories have a bit of truth into them. I think it was a bit in bit of both. It was a character and also myself. It wasn't just a character, but I think it was like that. It's always like that. There is a bit of truth in everything, everything good at least. And Lemon was obviously a good character,
Mm-hmm.
but no, it wasn't fully me. But at the same time, it was me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fair enough.
I was exaggerating for fun, I guess. Well, not always, but most of the time for fun. Sometimes I was just being ragey and emotional.
Okay. And this is actually like for me, this interview is quite big because, as you told me, not many people have ever heard your voice. Not
Yes,
not even your guild is. So,
yes.
is there a reason why you didn't interact in voice with people, being a guild leader and everything?
Well, I was many reasons. One of them was I was shy. The other reason was I don't live alone in my house, so I was even more shy of being heard by my family. And also at the same time, back then I didn't really want to listen to people mid fight. I just wanted to listen to my music. That's actually another thing related to my guild and the way I led it. I didn't really lead that much in the actual fights. I did before the fights because it's better if everyone knows what's happening and everyone knows what to do before the fight even happens than you telling them mid-fight. So most of the leading I did was preparing people outside of the fights, either by chatting conversations or training even with them. But that's one of the reasons. I was shy. I have family, and I also didn't want voice to distract me because back then I wanted to focus on my game, not on other people's voices.
Okay.
There are many reasons, but now things have changed for me, so I don't care anymore.
What has
Fuck it,
changed?
everyone can hear my voice now. I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. What changed? If you want to talk about that.
Well, well, at some point I started feeling like I mean I don't really think I have what to lose anymore. I think I've done everything. So I'm just living now. Before that, I was too uptight or something. I don't know exactly, but I'm different, and I also have a girlfriend now, so which I met online in a game. So I was forced to talk with her. I guess that also
Okay.
helped me get less shy.
Nice. So, I guess you've been mixing this, being really shy by not really speaking to people, but at the same time, I guess you really want to either express yourself. I'm assuming, or I guess you want people to know what your opinion is. What do you
Well,
think?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually. What depends for in what context. In video, yes, I think it's only fair for my opinion, or was only fair for my opinion to be heard in video because I was spending so much time and I had so much knowledge and experience. And I don't know how much you know about early meta in video, but my guild practically invented the gear meta and even the playstyle meta in our own server. And I feel like I knew stuff, so yes, I wanted to be heard, but at the same time, how do you even argue with people on forums or something? Like it's not like you can win.
Yeah.
So you just have to find a way to have fun while also relaying a message. You shouldn't focus only on relaying a message because then when people don't listen, you will just get triggered. But if you're also having fun at the same time, well, at least you had fun.
And talking about having fun and memories, what what do you remember about BDO? What are the stories that you remember?
That's a very broad question.
I
Should
know.
I just go?
Okay,
No, no,
let's.
it's okay. I can just go, but I'm not. I will just go aimlessly.
The thing is, when I personally think back about BDO, about experiences, I get a couple of things in mind that usually like just the first couple of things that come to mind.
Yes,
Um,
okay, I got it already.
so I just want to get like maybe one or two of those that you get.
Well, should I tell you how I got the nickname the Terror of Southern?
Yeah, sure.
Or you already know that?
I've heard stories, but I guess people watching the video haven't. So go for it.
Well, I don't think people watching the video even know me anymore, but whatever. I would go to Southern and it was the best grind spot, so I was like, nice, I want this. Over time I realized back then people were doing five men on the main rotation, but I never saw a purpose for it because you could solo, and I think now people know that you can solo everything in BDO, but back then they were trying to play it as a different kind of MMORPG. So I would just go in BDO on the main spot with my pet because I play the Tamer, and the pet gave you extra aggro, and I would clear the whole spot just almost as fast as 5 people. But obviously those 5 people didn't like me being over there, and I was alone, so they would fight me, and that's how I started. I just started fighting people every single day for the main spot in Southern, and over time it became less of a fighting and more of a slaughtering because I would just go minus 1 million karma during the day, and at night I would fix it before I got sleep, and I would PK basically everyone that came to the spot. And in like 2 or 3 months of doing that, like every day, I think I only died twice, and it was like one against 15 people just making a right party to hunt me down because they were sick of my shit and they wanted to get me. They wanted to punish me, and I think only twice I died by 15 people. And since I was minus 1 million karma, I would lose a lot of shit, but I still gained a lot more from just killing everyone during the day and taking the spot for myself. And it was a nice time. It was before even Awakening came out, and I loved Tamer pre-Awakening, but like how should there wasn't enough defensive options back then with the pre-Awakenings and stuff. I think the game really peaked at its Awakening
Hmm.
form, but before that, it was just like fun. I would run around like guerrilla warfare. There were all sorts of places in Southern where you could jump, where you could hide, where you could bait people to filter the zerg, I would say. Like when there are 5 people chasing you, you can run into a narrow spot and get only one or two at a time coming one after another. And you could kill them like that. You filter them one by one. You don't fight them at the same time. And I think Southern was good for that. And yes, that's how it happened. I guess I had people PMing me with that. Actually, the first half year of or 1 year of my video, half of my screenshots are just being accused of cheats and stuff like that.
Okay.
I still have them on my PC. I have a strong opinion on that. So should I go?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I hate that in BDO when you die there are no penalties and people can do shit like that. They can suicide to grab you and get you killed. Which what this guy did in RBF. He didn't play for himself. He played to sabotage me basically, which always found lame. Because in older games, when you die, there were huge penalties and you couldn't just suicide to ruin other people's day. But in this game, you lose nothing. You just can go in, die, respawn, go in, die, respawn, and he abused that, and I was pissed. It's
Hmm.
lame.
Do you have any other stories that you remember beside that one?
Well, for video, yes, sure, I have so many stories, I guess.
Just another one maybe. Let's just throw another
One
one.
of those thousand stories, there was a guild who took my spot, and I was very prideful at the time. And I was like, if you don't leave my spot, you will regret it. And of course, there were 5 people, so they didn't leave my spot. And then I spent a week of just fighting one against their entire guild. And at the end, I think I won the war with like 500 kills. And but the problem is I had like 400 deaths because it was always 1v5 and 1v10. and I regret that. I regret dying this much. Even if I still won, even if I still got them out, I just did it through perseverance, but I wouldn't do it again because I don't like seeing my char die.
Okay.
And that was one of those stories.
It's been some time since you quit, right?
Yes.
And can we say what happened to your account? I mean, I've heard the stories. I don't know if I've heard that you sold your account. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Maybe I'm still playing, no one knows. Maybe it's still me.
Is it?
Well, as I said, it's a secret. I quit because of the PvP changes,
Mm,
by the way, in
okay.
case that wasn't known.
Okay. You felt like they just were bad.
Yes, I think the game had a lot of potential before that, and that's why I played it. That's why I played it all day, every day. I grinded as much as I did, and I think the game was at its peak in Awakening time with Super Armor, Iframe, and Block, because I think that's the best way you can get action MMORPG, because in real life you can have Iframe, Block, and Super. You can basically resist a hit if you get hit in real life, and at the same time you can dodge and you can block. I think it's the best system to represent actual fighting. But for some reason, Pearl Abyss didn't think so, and they were like, we need to make the game require less skill, because before that, you could go 1v10 against casual players, but like before the changes, if you are good and if the people you are fighting were bad, you could go 1v10 and kill half and then escape even, because the game gave you the tools. But Pearl Abyss didn't like that because there are more people of the 10 than of the 1, and they wanted to make the game require less skill. That's why they buffed gear and reduced defensive options. They made gear much stronger. They added that I forgot what, a renown score or whatever the fuck that was shit,
Mm-hmm.
which made gear like hybrid gear like Kutum much worse than just full AP gear, and that made no sense whatsoever, because with when everyone one shots everyone, it's 50-50. You shoot him and he dies, or he shoots you and you die. There is no complexity. And before that, there was so much more. I think they should have just focused on fixing the problems of the game, which were not that many, and like fix a bunch of bad design skills, nerf some damage here and nerf some defense there, and that's the only thing they should have done. Instead, they completely reworked the game. It made no sense whatsoever, and people invested what 2 years of their life
Mm-hmm.
just to get betrayed like this. And I did reroll before I quit actually to Kuno. I'm not sure if you even remember that.
Yeah,
I played Kuno.
DK first and Kuna after. Yeah.
No, my DK was much sooner than that. I didn't really play it serious, but my Kuno, I ended up getting 20k or some shit RBF kills in 20 days. You could kill 10 people with your ult, basically.
Yeah.
And and at the same time, my main class Tamer was gutted. It was trash. And why would I play Tamer when I can play an invisible class which can one-shot people, which even had better defense in every way. It had more super armor, life, more everything. So I didn't like that from them. They botched the balance. They destroyed the game. And I heard that later over time they started giving back stuff
Yeah.
that they took away, which makes no even less sense.
Yeah, it's actually very recent. Last week, they are adding some stuff that they removed.
Well, I got PM actually like last week telling me come back to BDO, they are fixing Tamer, and I was like, I'm a Kuno main now, which isn't true, but I don't really have any intention for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I think Renown has been a dark time for most people in video.
Well, I think if they just wanted to make the game good, they would listen to top players or something. Instead, they just wanted to make the game accessible or whatever. They wanted to make every casual player have the chance to kill a good player, which was stupid. Even casual players are fueled by good players. Like how many people watch football, for example, but not all the people that watch football can compete with the pros, but they still watch it anyway. You need to have pros, but BDO wasn't like they wanted everyone to be able to one shot everyone and not to leave it to skill, and that was a mistake.
Okay. Um. All right. I guess we can talk about other. Or do you want to say anything else about video?
Well, I'm not really sure what is there to say. I think the
There's not
BDO
much to say.
could have been the greatest, but it wasn't, and I think it was because of greed. I think they were making enough money, but they wanted even more. And I also think that if they focus on making the best possible game, it would reward them in the long run. Because I don't think many people will play their next games now, because they in a way betrayed the people. That's how I feel.
I think when BDO like did this kind of bait and switch back then, it was kind of outrageous. But now people kind of accept pay to win and just that kind of stuff in the gaming industry.
Yes, and that's extremely stupid. No one should ever accept pay to win. No one should ever feel comfortable spending thousands of dollars on a game. That's so stupid. I don't agree with this at all.
Hmm.
You can fund a small village with that money. I actually listened to some of your interviews with some of those pay to win people, and I was just face palming. I don't. Why would you waste so much? You're feeding a big corporation. You can invest in individuals. You can do so much more with that money. Like, even if you don't, why would you give the money to a corporation that's already making millions, even billions of dollars, when you can just give them to someone? And I don't agree with this pay to win culture. I don't think it should be accepted by people, and I don't think it should be glorified. But I guess Western civilization got spoiled, and they don't know what to spend their money on.
So let's talk about other games. You mentioned that you've been playing MMOs for most part of your life. Um,
Yes, final good part. We're talking on the good part.
um, do you want to start or should I ask you?
Well, well, you can ask me.
Because
So the
I feel like
interview,
you know what you want to say. I have this feeling right now.
well, depends, but sure, go ahead and ask me.
So I've seen the picture that I've already seen it before, but the one that you linked me. Can I show that on the video?
Sure, I guess it
Okay.
was meant to be seen by people, even if it's a bit embarrassing now because it was made so many years ago.
Okay, I think it's cute. I don't think it's embarrassing. Um, so yeah, I've seen like your start and of various MMOs, and it seems that you kind of stuck with the Lineage too, and that's where I guess the passion started for MMOs. Do you want to talk about your time in Lineage?
Well, do you know Lineage too? That's the first question because I know a lot of MMO players do know it, but do you?
I used to play a clone of Lineage in 2008, I think. So
You
I know the game, but I don't actually I haven't actually played it.
Well, if you ask me, it was the best MMO. It was why so many people look at MMOs favorably and like still have expectations for the genre because whenever a new MMO is coming, everyone is hyped. But all the MMOs have been such disappointments in recent years, and Korea is just releasing a new MMO every 6 months. Basically, they have so many that we don't even hear the names for half of them. But back in the day, I think Lineage 2 was the perfect MMO. I think it had everything. As far as I know, the first video version was developed by the people who work on Lineage 2. And in the first video version, you could stock, what was it, caravans and transports. You could ambush them and steal stuff from them. And it was much slower and it was much more focused on, like, I don't know,
Yeah,
strategy strategy and approach rather than just speed and high octane, which I think you should find the perfect balance between the two, which, like Tera back in 2014 did find the perfect balance between speed and strategy. But in Lineage 2, you were forced to rely on other people, which I hate. I don't want to rely on anyone, and that's good in BDO. You don't rely on anyone, but at the same time, uh, the only way you have good memories is if you rely on other people and if you cooperate with them. So I think MMOs should force you to rely on others as much as it sounds alienating to solo players, and BDO is full of solo players. But once you're forced to once you're forced to rely on others, you make bonds, you make friendships that last through the years. And Lineage 2, you couldn't do anything alone. The game wasn't gear based, it was buff based, which which I think is better than being gear based. I think gear should give you very small bonuses, and skills should give you much bigger bonuses. And in Lineage 2 you needed to have at least like 4 classes to even form a party. There were more supports than damage dealers, but everyone could do damage and everyone was useful and everyone had a role. And that's why people even look at sieges favorably. Same with node wars in BDO. People look at node wars in BDO like they are a big deal, but I think node wars in BDO were shit compared to sieges of the past, which is what everyone was hoping for initially.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lineage 2 did a lot of things right. And if they made a game like that today, but modern version, depending on, I think maybe it could be popular because they think it won't be because you could lose a lot in that game. If you there were no channels and no instances. I think both channels and instances, which came from World of Warcraft, I think they ruined the MMO genre. I think when in Lineage 2, without channels, without instances, if you talk shit, you get hit. There's no way you can hide. So if you are edgy in Lineage 2, and if you are provocative and stuff, you were way more, you had way more danger around you, because you could lose a lot more. So people were forced into politics. People were forced into making alliances, and at the same time, if you decided to be edgy, you had a lot more to lose, and you are much cooler than you are now. Now everyone can talk shit and nothing, they can kill you 30 times in BDO and nothing happens. That's why even griefing in BDO exists. But in Lineage 2, if they kill you 30 times, you lose what 1 month of your grinding. Well, not 1 month, but depends on the server you played on. Because Lineage 2 wasn't just big on the original server, but also on private servers. I think the game was perfect, but I wouldn't say perfect balance, but it was good. It forced you to make bonds. It
Okay.
was fun. There were a bunch of world bosses in Lineage 2, like 6 of them. Depends, they added more, but at some point, world bosses that you could only get if you win PvP, because there are no instances and no channels. You can't enter the boss room if there is another guild blocking the way. It was way more natural PvP. Like you had a reason to fight. It wasn't forced. It wasn't to show off like video is, for example. It wasn't to force yourself to have fun. You needed to enter the boss room so you can get the drops. And you were in a natural way. You were forced to do PvP. And at the same time, there were multiple big bosses, which you needed numbers for them, but there were also a bunch of smaller bosses, which were also world bosses, which you could win with intelligence, and that's what my guild did actually. There was a boss which was in a very narrow area, which was like in a labyrinth, underwater labyrinth, and we would just ambush people before they even gather. We wouldn't let them gather in the labyrinth, and we wouldn't let them fight us with their full numbers. We would just funnel the zerg one by one, and you could also outsmart people with spawn times with the boss with the door, because the boss had a door which opened only once every 4 hours. So you could have a strategy, you could have brain and win, and it was global. It wasn't like hide in some channel and do it for yourself. You had to do it against other people. And actually, that boss was even my main income in real life, because no one else could get it except my guild. For years, probably half of my adult life was paid by selling loot from that boss.
Okay.
I even have a video on YouTube about it. It's funny.
Okay. Interesting.
And so I think the game was very, very good. in comparison to now.
Okay. And why did you quit? What happened there?
What, Lineage 2?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was much younger. I didn't see gaming as a way of life. I had family pressure. Like, when are you gonna do something with your life? This,
Okay.
and I also got bored at some point, and people also leave. No one like stays forever. Well, there are people that will stay forever online now, but back then I didn't think it was normal. It was 2008, 2009, and stuff. It just didn't feel normal to spend this much time in the game, so I tried to distance myself from it, but I just ended up playing more games like that. Well, I don't think Lineage 2 is good now anyway. It's got modernized, ruined,
Hmm.
but but back then it was good for the time, and I'm sure a lot of people who have played it know that.
Okay. And after that, you hopped on some other MMOs, AION.
Yes, AION, which was amazing.
Okay. You wanna talk about that, or we can move on to other stuff if you want, like other games.
Well, well, AION was so much faster than Lineage 2. It was complete change. It was like you could have 60 skills on your bar. I love that part. Just for speed, people into speed, and I was into speed, and maybe still am. But you could do a combo with Assassin in Aeon, which required 50 buttons, which at the same time, and Aeon had stun breaks, and in general it was very fun game. It was, I don't know, in some ways it was even better than Lineage 2 because the gameplay was way more modern. But in other ways, it also was much better to do small scale PvP in that game. So you didn't really want to deal with many people. You just wanted to have fun by yourself. But the game had a lot of potential. I regret, I feel bad for people who are MMO fans who've never played those two games, Lineage 2 and ION, and even early Guild Wars 2, and I'd say even Tera.
Okay.
But those are more modern.
Let's
I
let's talk about those two.
well, Guild Wars 2. I played the game before it even came in the beta. No, I don't. I just played the beta, not the alpha. But at the start, Guild Wars was very fun because people didn't figure out the game. It was like you make a build that you enjoy and you play with it. No one knew what's the meta. No one knew what to do. And World versus World was fun. We would charge 30 against 30 people like a movie. And I would play warrior. My friend would play guardian, and we would just lead the charge like some movie. Two armies charging at each other. We would enter first and we would leave last. I loved that feeling. I want that from a game again. And that was early Guild Wars too. Uh, it was good, but after people figured out the game way more and the meta, it just started becoming more and more. It started becoming harder and harder to fight because in games like Guild Wars 2, where you have built, you will always be countered. You can't achieve balance in a game like that because the only way you can achieve balance is if the classes are the same with small changes. But in Guild Wars 2, one class can be way different than the same class but different build. So there was no balance. You can always counter someone with something, which kind of sucks if you're the one getting countered. I mean, it's fun when you counter, but it's not fun when you're being countered. And when the people figured out Guild Wars 2, I think it lost some of its charm, and after that, ArenaNet started just meddling too much into the game. They do huge changes every few patches just to keep the game fresh, but I think it does the opposite when you rework the game. I think that's a big mistake from the developer side.
Mm.
They should
Um.
just be happy with the game they have and try to improve it through intelligent, new, and innovative stuff, not through changing the balance around.
Okay. Uh, you say you play warrior. I'm actually kind of surprised to hear that, because at least on BDO, you always played assassin type classes or just very slippery.
Well, I
Um,
would say Tamer is a bruiser, but
okay,
uh,
yeah.
But yes, well, in Lineage 2 I started as an assassin, but since I told you the game forces you into all sorts of situations, I had to reroll to archers and to mages at some point, and I became very good at them even. In AION, I played a warrior because, well, I don't even remember why. I just started for fun. A warrior, then
Okay.
I rerolled to assassin again because, yes, I was age kid. I hate assassins now, by the way, but I did play them in every game.
Okay.
And in Aeon, I rewrote to Assassin at some point, but I also played a Temper, which is the tank class in Aeon. And actually, some of my most fun experience in gaming was with Temper. There was 1v1, like I didn't play on the, I quit the official Aeon server because it was too RNG, it was too grindy, and I went to a server which was copy of the original, but with high rates. You just wait for the PvP, and a lot of the popular people, even video makers from the original server, would just come to this server for the fun, for the PvP. There was 1v1 arena in Aeon, and I think I had out of 100 games, I only lost a single duel with my Templar, only once, and it was against a friend. And I can't really play seriously against my friends, but he was also good. But I beat the other 99 people, and at some point, people were even accusing me of cheats, and Game Masters got involved. They teleported my character against my will into a secluded arena and forced me to fight people, just to watch me fight people. And they lined up a bunch of people who were accusing me of being a hacker, and I beat every one of them in front of like a small crowd, including Game Masters. And it was fun because, as I said earlier, in AION you could have 50 skills on your bar. You just could do so much. The more you can do, the more skill based the game is. And Aeon in that regard was very skill based. And I played Temper there. I like the style. I like the tank stuff. And then when Guild Wars started, I was like, plate armors look cool. I want
Okay.
to look cool. And that's why I made a warrior in Guild Wars because I played before that Temper and I also liked the plate armors a lot. They looked well. They still look cool. Actually, Guild Wars 2 has amazing plate armors. Alpha male.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean the game is kind of. It feels like the end game of Guild Wars is pretty much just cosmetics at this point.
Well, at this point, I think the game lost its charm, just like BDO. BDO lost its soul, Guild Wars lost its charm.
Okay. You have you so you've been you went hard on Lineage and on sorry on Aeon BDO. Did you do the same on Guild Wars?
Well, well, how should I say it? Not really, but I did play on very high level. I was always in the top. It's just in Guild Wars, it wasn't exactly the same. It was too cheesy. Getting like number one in the leaderboard, it wasn't exactly skill based. You could play with others. It wasn't solo achievement. And at the same time, it was role based game, 5v5 role based game. Even if you're the best at your role, it doesn't mean you will get number one, which was very stupid. But yes, I did go hard on Guild Wars 2, and I always played on high level on that game.
Mm.
But on Terra was completely different. I actually think Terra is the perfect balance between speed and strategy.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Terra? Let's move there. So you
Did
played
you?
Terra kind of on and off, right? During.
I played Terra for like 2 years until I got unfairly banned. I have a juicy story about that.
Okay, yeah.
So, well, I started Terra after some rough periods in my life. I was very, very dramatic and I had problems in real life. So I started Terra with the same intention as always, to be casual and have fun. I never start with the intention to have fame or to be number one. It just, if it happens, it happens. I don't really aim for it. And speaking of that, I just got rank one in my new game yesterday, and I never aimed for it. But I achieved rank one in the world in my newest game
What
just
game, sorry?
yesterday. Well, never mind that. I can mention it later.
Okay, yeah,
But
let's just skip. Let's stick to Terra, I guess.
yes, I started Terra with the intention to just have fun and be casual, but the fire took over me as always. as I did PvP, I would just get more and more passionate and fiery, and over time it wasn't enough to just have fun. I had to start killing more people. It wasn't enough. So I started. Well, I was in a weird spot in Terra. I still had my guild in Terra. I made it like because I made it in Lineage 2. I had it in every game since. And when we made it in Terra, very, I was a lot more emotional, and I would lead with more emotion, sort of, and it would reflect onto my character a lot more. But I think Terra was fun. I think Terra had good speed, and at the same time you had to rely on others. At least for the arena, for the 3v3 arena, you couldn't carry against good players and needed to rely on your friends, which, as I said, I hate to have to rely on other people. But at the same time, it's the only way you make a game memorable. If you make a game where you're self-sufficient, no one will. In 5 years, do you think you will remember how awesome you were? You just need to have friends. It's like in Terra, you had to rely on your healer and you had to rely on your tank and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And the game had competitive arena too. Like I think at some point we had 95% win rate in 3v3, which the fact that the game lets you have this high win rate shows that the game requires skill. Because the less skill it requires, the more it will be centered around 50-50, which is like a dice roll. But if the game requires skill, you can push that limit over 50-50. And that's why I think the game died as well. I think the moment you start focusing on the average player instead of the top player, you're doing it wrong. And because even average players stay in the game for top players. Because when you're trash, you look up to top players and you want to be top. But if you're trash and everyone else is trash, who do you look up to? And I think that what games do wrong is they make it too accessible when it shouldn't be.
Okay. Tell me about the ban thingy.
All right, the bunting. Well, I did flame a lot in Terra, but
Okay.
like, well, I always flamed a lot, including in video. But that's because I believe in free speech. I want people to flame me, but I also want to flame them. I don't want someone to tell me what I can say and I can't say. Anyway, I did flame a lot in Terra, and at some point, I started getting banned like all the time, and I had no idea why. And it would cause a lot of problems between me and my friends in game because when I was gone, like the atmosphere was just changing, and when I would come back, it was always a downgrade. And after like 3 bans I had in 2 months period, or even more bans than that, I had some fight with my friends in the game. When I came back, I didn't like what had changed. So so then I would be even more unstable and I would flame even more. And then I would get banned again and again. And in the end, I got perma banned for just calling someone an idiot. Like, they tell me to kill myself in the global chat. 10 people tell me all sorts of vulgar shit. Then I call someone an idiot and I get perma banned. And it felt like the rules only apply to me and no one else. So people could just abuse me all the time and I couldn't say anything in defense. So I did get banned in that game, and 1 year after my ban, a friend told me that he well, I'm not sure how much of that I should say, but I will keep things anonymous.
Okay.
I had a was popular streamer who had a fangirl, which was a game master in the game, but she was his fangirl because she liked his voice. So she contacted him in game and started giving him gold, like game master giving gold to a player, and he was selling it for real money, which is obviously against rules both for her and for him. And he told me that she told him that the guy who bought me was an actual player who I beat in arena, by the way, which is he was a player who became a game master who was salty at me, who just tried to find reasons to ban me all the time. And in the end, he perma banned me, and shortly after I was perma banned, the guy was fired from Gameforge because he was abusing his powers for other stuff and they caught him. He was giving items to his friends or some shit. So
Okay.
Basically, I got permaban because some guy got Southern, got Game Master powers, and it had a huge impact on my life, obviously. It was being forcefully pushed away from your community, sort of, when I was already emotional as fuck at the time.
What did you do after the ban?
I want to play Tera Russian server because I live in Bulgaria, so it's closer to Russia than most of Europe, and the ping was somewhat fine. And I also understand the language because Russians stole their alphabet from us. In
Okay.
case you didn't know, Cyrillic is Bulgarian, and they stole it. So I understand like 75% of their language. And I played there for a while, but it was like I didn't feel at home. Obviously, I went back to Europe with an out accounts a few times. Played the arena a bunch. People recognized me instantly, obviously, because of my style. And well, my win rate at the time too was pretty good because they just buffed the class I was playing. I played Sork in Tera, Mage, which like witch in BDO.
Mm.
Oh, well, so well they buffed the class a lot, and I went to Europe to test it, and I was happy with the buffs. But yes, I did play on and off at that point for Terra, and I quit. I took Guild Wars 2 as a full time, and then we found out about BDO.
Okay, and what do you play now? You said you reached
Well,
rank one.
what I play now? I play a mobile game now.
Okay.
Like when I had my fight with my friends from BDO from my guild, because we had a falling out. So that was like when I quit. It was one of the reasons why I quit, not just them destroying the game, but also me being alone, sort of. I was like, there is nothing fun to play, and I just spent like 2 years playing single player stuff, watching streams and reflecting on myself. And then at some point, I felt like I'm rock bottom. I had like nothing, no friends, no game, no point, no goal, nothing. So I started a mobile game because I have this friend in my Facebook who's like spamming my Facebook with fucking ads for that game. So one day I was outside and I was like, fine, he spams it so much, I'll just check what it's about. And I started, played a bunch, and the game is full of waifus. So I was like, nice, high quality waifus. And yes, so I stayed in the game for waifus, and I started getting better in that game over time, and I started being added by more people, and I ended up meeting my girlfriend there in that game. We met in the game, then we met in real life. So I've been playing with her for the last year now, almost.
Okay. Is she Bulgarian too?
No, she's from a different country.
Okay.
And we had to meet with the stupid Corona hawks, with the airplanes and stuff. Yes, it was complicated.
Okay.
But we did meet, and I don't really care about video right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just happy with my mobile trash game, but it has more high quality waifus than video, so
Do you look forward to any upcoming game, or are you just happy with the with what you have right now?
I've been burned way too much by MMOs, but I suppose Ashes of Creation looked cool. I don't know. Blame Peon for brainwashing us with his videos.
Okay.
He's like, hype this, hype that, and I'm like, OMG hype.
Are you still playing Guild Wars? I've heard you are still kind of playing here and there.
No, I did play Guild Wars until they destroyed my class.
Okay.
Like, the same story as BDO basically, but in Guild Wars over the years, because I started Guild Wars in 2012, and I played every single class over the years, mained it at some point except Mesmer, and at the end I started maining Mesmer too, and I loved it. It was extremely fun, and it was my type. But something happened to Guild Wars 2 balance team. They got a bunch of Mesmer haters, and I think what in the last 30 patches they probably nerfed Mesmer 30 times, every single patch once. And the class was already dead after 5 nerfs, but they kept going and going and going. At some points it was complete garbage. And I was like, whatever, I'm quitting this shit.
Okay.
It was just It was obvious that the changes made no sense. I was the only mesmer in top 10, top 20. There was no one else, even in top 50. And it was consistent. It wasn't once, it was every week. It was me and maybe one, two other people. And it was 5 plus of every other class in top 50. And one or two mesmers. And they kept nerfing it. They just destroyed the class. So I quit the game because it looked like the balance team became incompetent as hell.
Hmm.
I wish I would get into a balanced team for some game like that instead them getting a bunch of biased but hurt people who abuse their powers. Because as I told you by my Tera story, it's not that uncommon for people in power to abuse their power. You need passionate gamers in places with like in balanced positions and even in moderation positions in gaming. Because if you have a bunch of normies, they don't care. But gamers do care about the game they play.
Do you think you're done with MMOs, or do you think it's something that you
Well,
can't let go?
no, I think I want to play more MMOs, but at the moment I don't know what. Maybe I will come back to video someday, but I doubt. I don't know. It's complicated.
Okay. Do you have any final thoughts? Any last words you wanna say for the people listening?
Well, final words. I don't really know what to say to video players. I feel like I don't have anything good to say. I feel like the game lost its soul at some point. It looks good on the outside, but when I first started BDO, when I walked in, the menu music, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. The menu music, I don't know if you remember, if it's the
Mm-hmm.
same even. And when you walk into the world, it actually has nice music and nice atmosphere, but once you get to know BDO from the inside out, it's like, it's ugly.
All right.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to help you pay your rent. Those are my final
Okay.
words.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I really do appreciate you taking your time to do this interview, and for the first time, I guess, having people hear your voice, crackling aside. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, my dude. It was a pleasure. It was I was really, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised you actually accepted, and I was really looking forward to it. So I hope you had fun. Um,
Yes, I had nothing else to do, so it was fun.
Perfect. All right, then have a great evening, and see you around in Ashes of Creation, I guess.
Maybe. You too.
Okay. Cheers.